It doesn't matter how fast your bike is, someone's out there building something faster. The 990 Super Duke was a monster of a naked bike when it launched, but over the years it did start looking a bit long in the tooth next to the Aprilia, the Triumph, the Kawasaki, the EBR, and most certainly the mighty BMW. It was clearly time for an overhaul, but not just any overhaul. If the Super Duke was no longer super enough to send lumps of gooey fear down the trouser legs of the motorcycling public, well, KTM was going to have to unleash something superer, a Super Duper Duke. A beast. 1,000 cc's of roaring V-twin bicep became 1,301. 120 horsepower became a monstrous 177. A bike that was already known for its torquey engine got nearly 50% more torque. The weight penalty for this upgrade? Just 3 kilos. That's what, 2 big dumps for a Super Duke rider? I'm not going to lie to you, this bike scares me. The 990 made 100 Newton meters of torque. The 1290 makes that from 2,500 RPM upwards. And then there's the gearing. Even though this thing makes 180 horsepower, first gear only takes you up to about 85 k's an hour. That's not an accident. This thing's a widowmaker. I don't want any widows. But it's time to man up and ride this thing.
That's actually not too bad. It's not too bad at all. I'm in sport mode here. But the throttle's not nearly as twitchy and aggressive as the one on the S1000R. In fact, this one almost feels a little bit encouraging. Wonder what happens when you open it up a bit. Whoa! Oh my god, it feels like there's enough torque underneath me to spin the earth backwards if I drop my wrist far enough. That is insane! Oh my god! But you know what, it's never a surprise. You only get exactly what you ask for. And it doesn't matter how much you ask for, because there's always more. That is a hell of a magic trick. Bravo, KTM. The brakes, on the other hand, now those are vicious. In fact, it almost feels like you can stop harder than you can go on this thing. And that's really saying something. Oh. Mind you, there's ABS on them anyway, so it's going to be pretty hard to stuff that up.
There's also traction control, but seeing as the throttle's so perfectly mapped, I've just been turning it off every time I start the bike. Why? Because unlike the BMW, this thing was born to wheelie. Can't show ya, get me arrested. But take it from me, it's hard to keep the front wheel down in first, second and third. Fourth takes a bit of effort, but it happens. I'm not man enough to try it in fifth, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of you galoots are. It's incredible just how user-friendly this thing is, considering it's about the wildest thing on the road. It commutes, it's fine in the wet. I've been riding this thing in all sorts of conditions, and it's always got my back. It handles the tight stuff really well. This awesome WP suspension feels just about as good as Olin's over the bumps. And then you hit some sweepers and it goes absolutely berserk. It's super comfy and it gets good fuel consumption. You remember the old 990 Super Duke? That thing was flashing the reserve light at about 130 k's if you rode it hard. On the 1290, I'm getting about 280 k's to a tank, which is brilliant. It's also pretty convenient because that's about how long your back tyre's going to last anyway. Is it perfect? No. Here's my list of complaints. The foot pegs are slippery. The gear lever jigger, way too short to get your boot underneath. The stock suspension settings need more damping, and while there's a hand adjuster knob on each of the forks, you need tools to do the back. I don't know why you'd use a a gorgeous single-sided swing arm and then stick a big fugly exhaust in front of it. You can't adjust the preload on the forks. And I don't like the menu system. It feels a bit, I don't know, coin operated or something. And here's my biggest issue. There's no dedicated traction control button, and you can't switch it off on the fly. The fact that you have to stop and pull over and fart about in the menus for about 20 seconds anytime you want to pull a wheelie, on this bike, that is unforgivable. And the price tag, well, I don't know. It's a lot of money, but then this bike can do things that I've simply never experienced before, like fourth gear wheelies. This is one of the greatest engines ever built. I have to say you're getting your money's worth. Put it this way, you step off this bike and pretty much anything else is going to feel slow. The fact that it performs like an absolute beast, well, that's kind of what I was expecting. But the fact that it's so easy to ride, that's what really got me. I'm just surprised and really impressed. This is one hell of a motorbike. But the price tag should include half a dozen spare driver's licenses, because believe me, you're gonna need them.